What is going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to another edition of On the Road to Victory. I am your host, Jimmy Smith, and I hope you're all having a very happy Easter. It's a little afternoon here on a Sunday, about to head to a bunch of family activities, but wanted to get the final episode here. It's draft season, baby. We are a few days away from the draft. We'll get into my pick here next week. All of the stuff you need to know with the rookie draft pick, cap hits, all that great stuff I will be getting into, but finishing this series up, hopefully you checked out all the other positions, but we're going to look at the safeties in this draft, what the Eagles have going on. I'm going to give you my top fits. Love to hear your thoughts on this one, but let's rock and roll here. We'll start it off by taking a look at the Eagles draft picks, and then, as we usually do, finding out about our position, what we've got going on, all that great stuff. But I'd love to hear from you. Appreciate you taking the time, hitting that like button, sharing, subscribing. But let's jump right into this. Look at the Eagles, 8 draft picks. You know how he's always wheeling and dealing. Could go up, could go back. We got pick 32, but 4 fifth-round picks there. You know that it is possible we could be moving up, moving back in any of these rounds. So stay tuned in. We'll have live streams throughout all of these, but lots of ammo here. And then, of course, we've got multiple picks, and you cannot trade those projected comp picks. But, you know, you have 26 total picks, 23 that you can trade. Oh, yeah, lots of ammo here for Howie Roseman, and I expect to see some big, moves here to get some players to solidify this dynasty, I believe, that is being built. So you see we've got the ammo. Now, at the safety position here that we're looking at today, this is one of those positions where we talk about, depth pieces and maybe a starter. This is my number one position of need, I guess. We've talked about, don't feel that we go into this draft like, oh, we need to do something. So I'm not saying you have to go get a safety. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But we talked about all these positions where I find fits, that they don't always have to be your first or second pick. So we'll talk about all that. And you can see at safety, trading away CJ Gardner-Johnson for whatever, reason that is, off the field, on the field, the contract stuff, whatever, his attitude toward things. But love the dude. Appreciate him helping us get a Super Bowl. But, we've moved on. So Sidney Brown, we're hopeful for the future. One of my top fits on this show a couple of years ago. So very excited to see his future. But you got Tristan McCollum. Lewis Seen is here. And then you brought back Andre Sam on that reserve future contract. So you do have competition there. I would just probably like to see a little bit more. Now, I was just talking to my brother last night, just like I talked to so many of you throughout these last few weeks, about the fact that, if we don't draft someone high or we don't feel comfortable, we'll just sign Justin Simmons. And I think that's going to happen regardless. Bring in a veteran guy. I think that's a great move. So we'll see if that actually happens, but it depends on how this draft goes. So let's take a look at these prospects, where I see some of these guys going. You can let me know how you feel. A player maybe not on this list. Try to add some of these sleeper guys. At the end of the draft here, you've got some intriguing names. Malik Verdin there. Obviously, Shiloh Sanders. We know who he is. But you've got guys like R.J. Moten, Andreas Keaton, Donovan McMillan. So if you're looking for, back-end guys, there are definitely, guys like J.J. Roberts. We'll take a look at, some of these guys. But at the back end, there are definitely some pieces. And I think, more so the beginning of day 3 guys, you can find some talent there too. So we'll talk about a couple of these guys here as well. I find, I try to look in each, section of these, try to find some guys that even if you don't go right away, and I know a lot of people want to see that first pick be a safety. And, you've got some guys that maybe with that second or third pick that we'll talk about that I think could definitely, be starters in the NFL. And then obviously guys that I think could go day 1 possibly if the Eagles take them or someone else needs a safety. You've got some talented dudes here. And, Kevin Winston, I don't know that he goes in the first round, but I think he could definitely, sneak around. Somebody that's very talented, was banged up last year, only played in a couple of games. But the talent he has, we'll see. But I find him to be, near that realm with those guys. But I think he's more so a second-round pick. But that's how I see those guys, in ranking form. But let's talk about the fits here. Which players I find to be more so fits that I think the Eagles could utilize. So love to hear from you guys. Some players maybe you like, who you have as your number 1, top 3, whatever it is. But let's take a look. I'm going to start it off, and I've got a few here. So starting us off first, Wyatt Eckler. And this is Austin Eckler's little brother. And look, he's 24 years old, 5'11", 190. I don't know that he even gets drafted. Maybe he's an undrafted kid. Maybe right at the end there, the Eagles acquire a 7th-round pick. I'm not sure. But this is somebody with 4.44 speed, and he can do it all, man. He's good against the pass, good against the run. A little, 5'11", 190. Looks like he's, a little skinny. But look, man, I think with safety, you're looking for that, 5'11", 6 foot, 195, 200-pound range. And he's 24, so getting a little older. I don't think that, he's he has to be drafted here, draft worthy, we could say. But I think Eckler is a fine talent. And if you don't get somebody and you acquire a late pick or he doesn't get drafted, I would not be against that at all. Now, Caleb Ransall, this is somebody that I think, he's got that size, 5'11", 197, around that range we're looking for. But he's got 4.33 speed. So, pretty damn fast. And look, man, a lot of these guys we're going to be talking about have that versatility that we're looking for. This is somebody that I think he needs to work on his run, defense and coverage a little bit. So that's why he's a little bit further down. But when he does hit, man, he hits pretty ferociously. And with that elite speed, that's something his versatility, that's a blend that you can try to make work, especially, putting him in Vic Fangio's defense here. So I think this is somebody that with the right development could do some things. Now, didn't see, you could, 0 interceptions, forced fumbles. He didn't get too many turnovers there, but he's got short arms. These are things that had me drop him down a little further. Got great speed, but, maybe with one of those 5th-round picks, you take someone like a Caleb Ransall if you haven't gotten a safety. I think he's a talented kid. Would love to have him. And then up next, from Marshall, J.J. Roberts. This is another one of my, little bit of a sleeper here. End of the draft, if you acquire maybe a 6th, 7th, hell, maybe you want to take him with one of those 5th-round picks. A little undersized here, so that's his concern. But watching him play with that 4.41 speed, I really enjoyed his game, and I think this is one of those guys at the back end of the draft. I think you could definitely take a shot on somebody that obviously, for me, needs some development. And with that limited size there, maybe you use him in different roles here. But he plays pretty violently, and that's what I'm usually looking for at safety. So I like the kid, but, definitely some concerns there that he needs to develop some things. You can see PFF gave him a 91.2, so pretty damn good season last year. You look at the competition he's faced, but I think a talented kid who has a bright future. And look, if the Eagles would grab him, I would be excited for his future here. Up next, Jaylen Reed, man. This is somebody the Eagles visited with. I think this is someone that's a little more slept on. I think he could go, maybe in the 3rd round there. Maybe somebody takes a shot in the 2nd. I don't know. But he is a versatile piece. And if he falls to that 4th round, I think you definitely got to grab him. I was really, a fan of Jaylen Reed last year at Penn State. And this is one of those versatile pieces we talk about. And damn good against the run. I think his coverage could be worked on a little bit, though. But he's got great, versatility to be able to honestly line up all over. Deep safety, box safety, dime linebacker. Move him all around. But he's got great instincts, a high football IQ. I thought this is somebody that he shows that he could be good in coverage. And I think, you just give him a little bit of work, going up against some of these tight ends, things like that. I think that he has a very, very bright future. And if you could get him in that 3rd, maybe even 4th round, sign me up. 6 foot, 211, perfect size. He runs a 4.49 40. I think CJ Gardner-Johnson was like a 4.48. So that's right around the range you're looking for. I would be happy to have him. Now up next, R.J. Mickens. This kid is a stud. And I almost, wanted to move him up a little bit more. He just, somebody I think will fall just a little bit there due to his run defense. But I think he has a nice blend of everything. He got that 4.49 speed, 6 foot, 199. Good combination there. But this is somebody who I think is really good with his coverage. Just his route awareness. I think he's perfect for that zone defense that we, match zone that we run. And look, his long speed a little bit and his tackling, some things that I saw that definitely concern a little bit. But, man, I think this kid's got a really bright future in the NFL, 23 years old. But R.J. Mickens, man, I would happily take him on the Eagles. And up next, I've got Craig Woodson out of California. Now, my knock on him, he's 24 years old. but he's got the perfect size, dude. 6 foot, 200 pounds, 4'4", 40 there. Me likey. And I think he's got a good blend of, coverage, and he's good against the run. He does well in the blitz. I think he's got a high football IQ. These are things I'm always looking for. He's got that versatility I'm looking for where he can line up all over. You need to be able to do that. The safeties in this defense, you got to be versatile, be able to do everything. And I think that another kid that just because of his age and that long speed, give me some question marks. His awareness in the zone, maybe a little bit of work could be done here with him. If he gets developed, man, I think this kid has a bright future, though, and would happily take him on the Eagles. Up next, I've got Sebastian Castro here out of Iowa. Oh, another white boy-ish out of Iowa. But, obviously with the name Castro, I just say it. But look, out of Iowa, I know people get excited, but he's got another nice blend. He's got the versatility. You can obviously tell the guys I'm looking for. He is more violent than some of these other guys we just talked about. Kind of reminds you of a linebacker, I think, the way he plays. So I really do like him. I think, he could use some work in coverage. I think that, him, and his game fits what Vic Fangio is doing. And, putting him with Cooper DeJean, maybe that'd be, a little something special there. But I think this is one of those guys that a little more slept on. I know his grade for last year is 66.2, but his overall game in college, dude, he's he's a chess piece, somebody I would be excited to have on the Eagles. And then up next, before we get into this top five, another Penn Stater. We talked about that injury. So, yeah, you're going to be concerned about an ACL injury, but Kevin Winston, man, this kid, I think, is the real deal. Dude, he is a violent safety. This is somebody who's awesome against the run. Could use a little work in that coverage department, so that's why I have him a little bit further down. But playing so well against the run really made me – he's got that violent streak we're looking for. I think somebody that really tackles well. He is one of those enforcers you're looking for on the defense. But I think that he definitely could work on his coverage. And, that ACL, a little concerning. Now he's 6'2", 215, so he gets a little tight at times. But 4.5 speed at that size, he's exciting to watch. And I think developed the right way, he stays healthy. This kid is going to be a stud. But dropped him down just because of that injury there. And, I really just, don't get me wrong, a lot of these safeties I love. I was really excited about this show. Would be excited to have most of these guys. Now, getting into the top five, number 5 here, Malachi Moore out of Alabama. This dude is really, really fun to watch. 5'11", 196. Herschel, please shut up. He wants me to let you know that this top 5, any of these guys, dude, I'll take them. So this guy, he's got that route awareness I'm looking for. He is actually a playmaker. This is somebody, I think, that high football IQ. You notice the trend here, but he's a leader on defense. He's somebody that I thought could tackle, could, do all the things you're looking for in a safety here. And I think that, he has some injuries as well, so that's why I have him a little bit lower. And if you just look at his frame, I think he could bulk up a little bit, get a little bit stronger. But you give me Malachi Moore on the Eagles, I think this kid has a very bright future. Running that system there in Alabama, very similar to what Vic Fangio tries to do. Sign me up for some Malachi Moore. Now up next, we have Andrew Makuba here out of Texas. And I honestly, this next 4 was so hard for me to decide who I wanted to put as the top fit. Now, getting him, if he falls in the 3rd round, steal of a deal. Now, I think you'll probably have to try to get him maybe with that 64th pick, that 2nd pick of ours. But this dude, this is another one of those players, a versatile chess piece, but he is probably one of my favorite in coverage. Damn good against the run. Could work on his tackling a little bit here, but I just think he's perfect in the zone. His processing speed, he is that chess piece we talk about, moving all over on this defense that can play, in the box. He can play single high. He can play that dime linebacker. He can play the big nickel. He can do it all. He is a leader. He's got that football awareness, the high IQ, all that we're looking for. Now, the one thing, 5'11", 186. I've seen him listed at 190, but he's definitely a little skinnier. So put on some weight, bulk him up. I think he loses leverage at times. Again, I think strengthening his game will be key for him, but he is awesome, dude. And at 4.45 speed, he's got it all, man. I think he is one of the perfect safeties who's got a bright career. I think you bulk him up, and he's a stud. So I'd happily take him on the Philadelphia Eagles. Now up next, I know a lot of people aren't going to like this. Malachi Starks, and I think that, this is a dude, I don't know why it doesn't have the CH there. I kept getting the K. I don't know why, but Malachi there is somebody that, I know fans love. I know he is amazing. The run defense is something that, for me, could be worked on a little bit, but in coverage, another one of my favorites here, maybe give Makuba a little bit of the edge, but he's got that great route recognition. He is one of those ball hawks, high football IQ, somebody that I think, is just an all-around great safety. And, again, when we talk about negatives, just the injury history, having, some things he could work on in the run game, it's okay. He's a young player. He's only 21. These kids are coming out of college. That, you should have some things to work on. So for me, I'd love to have Malachi Starks with a CH, but, obviously I find that there's a couple of guys I would more take. Now, I think maybe someone takes him in front of us. If we, jump in front of people, take him, I'm not mad at it at all. I would love to have Malachi Starks on the Philadelphia Eagles. Don't get me wrong. But 6'1", 197, he's got it all, man. He really does. It's the perfect package, and I would be ecstatic. Even if we took him at 32, maybe traded back. There's a few of these safeties left, and they like a bunch of them like I did. Maybe you just see who's left at pick. You trade back to 38 or something, acquire a 6th and a 7th pick, and, whatever you do, how he's going to be wheeling and dealing. Now, up next, number 2, Xavier Watts. Now, this was hard for me. I didn't know if I wanted to put Watts or Starks or, the number 1 guy here. I was moving them all around because I really like a lot of these guys. Now, he's got 4, 5, 6 speed. That's the only reason I didn't have number 1, because this dude's game, a former receiver, somebody that, dude, I just think he's got it all. Again, that route recognition. He's got great closing speed. He's got great hands. I think the ball skills are there. I think he's elite with the ball skills. We talked about being a former receiver, but can be over aggressive at times. So I think his tackling technique, things like that, need to be worked on. Needs some work in the zone. But again, I think a perfect blend. In coverage, he's, I think, just a little work. The run more so is what needs worked on. But this is one of the best safeties in his class, 23 years old. And I would be thrilled to have Xavier Watts on the Eagles team here. Now, at number 1, this one's more of a crapshoot here. And I had him at number 3 at one point. So we'll just call them all 1A, 1B, 1C, right? But number 1 here, dude, Nick Amanawore there out of South Carolina. This kid, I know it's more of a question mark because, 6'3", 220. Sure, maybe he has some tightness in his hips, some things you'll hear. But, dude, he's 21 years old, 4.38 speed at that size. Holy shit. And he's got a 43-inch vertical. Dude, he's just a freak athlete. This is somebody who has it all, dude. And when you're running that fast and he's actually damn good, like he's got that violence against the run, he's nasty as hell. I think this is somebody that he is great with that high IQ in coverage. This is somebody that has everything you want. He's got the elite ball skills we talk about. And, if you sign Justin Simmons, you start this kid on special teams and he's knocking people out. So I think you work on him a little bit. I think he just needs some help in his coverage, maybe a little over aggressive at times. But I think that this dude, he's got the skill set. And I think that's really helped him in college. The same goes for a lot of these guys. They just need to be developed. And I think Vic Fangio could use this dude as a weapon, that versatility, moving him all over. I think this would be, a home run hit for the Philadelphia Eagles. But any of those guys, Starks, Watts, Amanawore, and even Makuba there, I think, you get Kevin Winston, you get any of those guys I just mentioned, the Eagles have a bright future there. And with Sidney Brown, I'm letting them know. I'm supposed to let you know to tune in to see my pick within the next couple of days here. It's either going to be Monday or Tuesday. I'm going to try to give you some information leading into Thursday's live stream. When I get home from work, we'll have a live stream. We'll talk about the draft, everything going down, leading up to our pick, whether that's at 32 or higher, or if they trade back, whatever it may be. Either way, we're building that dynasty, and I cannot wait, ladies and gentlemen, to see who the Philadelphia Eagles draft. Herschel can't wait, apparently, either. I do apologize for that. It is truly annoying when he does that, but it's Easter. I know everything's chaotic here in the house, so I apologize for that. But I do appreciate each and every one of you taking the time. Hopefully you enjoyed this draft series, one through each and every position. looked at what the Eagles had going on, our draft picks, everything you needed to know. I'll give you the rookie cap, draft pick cap hits. I'll give you our cap space leading into this, everything you need to know. We'll do a little recap of my needs and my top guys. And then, of course, my guy. We'll try to go 7 years guessing who the Eagles will take in this draft. And look, man, last year, 7 of our 9 draft picks were on these shows. So hopefully you enjoyed this content. Love to hear your thoughts on all of these. Leave a comment down below. You need anything, you can always reach out to me. But I hope you all have a great Sunday. Hope you had a great weekend. Enjoy the holiday. But I will talk to you tomorrow, unless something crazy happens. But always here for you guys. Appreciate you hitting that like button, sharing, subscribing. Cannot thank you enough. Let's go, baby. A few days away for the draft, and I can't wait. But all I've got for you, so until next time, I am Jimmy Smith, and this is On the Road to Victory. You all stay safe out there, and as always, go Birds!